And turning now to the Middle East, where a civil war is reigniting in Syria, and Russia is playing a major role. The Syrian military and the Kremlin conducted joint airstrikes today on areas that rebels took control of over the weekend. Fighters seized Syria's largest city, Aleppo, after a battle with troops loyal to dictator Bashar al-Assad. The conflict started in 2011, but there's been a stalemate for several years. Charlie Daggett joins us now from the Pentagon. Charlie, good to see you. Thanks for being here. So why is this civil war heating up right now? What is it about the timing?
Yeah, hey, Caitlin. So there are those here at the Pentagon who might describe it as exploiting a target of opportunity in military speak. You have to take a look at Syria's main allies, Russia, Iran, by extension, Hezbollah. Russians fighting its own wars. We know in Ukraine that's been a tremendous drain on manpower and military assets, including air power. That's critical. And it's just that the focus has been shifted elsewhere. Then, of course, is Iran that's been squaring off against Israel. The country itself has come under airstrikes. U.S. forces have been hitting Iranian-backed militias in both Iraq and Syria. So they're on the back foot. And then this might be one of the more critical pieces of the puzzle is Hezbollah itself, right? They had deployed to Syria to support the regime, but we all know what's happened, right? They had to pull out and head to Lebanon in order to fight for their own survival. And then, of course, we have to remember the Syrian regime has come under attack. So for years, these groups have remained dormant. But they've been regrouping, rearming, waiting for the opportunity to launch a major offensive. And I have to say, this is a major offensive. They swept into Aleppo, obviously catching the Syrian army off guard.
And there are, as you mentioned, U.S. forces in Syria right now. I think the big question that a lot of Americans would have is how the Pentagon is responding here and trying to avoid any kind of deadly miscommunication, of course.
Yeah, there are roughly 900 U.S. forces in Syria. They're largely special operations forces, special forces. Pentagon sources we talked to today tell us they're largely concentrated in an area in northeast Syria. And their role is to stop ISIS from reemerging. It's called Operation Inherent Resolve. And we're told today that the commander of that operation has used the deconfliction line with Russia. That's to make sure that lines of communication stay open. It's very complicated on the ground there. I remember driving down the street, seeing a U.S. military convoy, which was then followed by a Russian convoy. Moments later, it was flanked by Russian helicopters. So the number one job for the U.S. military, as you pointed out, is force protection. So they'll have eyes all over Syria. They'll be seeing these Russian warplanes increasing their own activity. And this is a critical, vital way to ensure that U.S. and Russian forces avoid any mishaps, which is the whole reason that deconfliction line exists.
Yeah, I think a big question for Americans tonight. And Charlie, I know you've seen it all there for yourself as well. Thank you so much for your reporting.
Thanks, Caitlin.